Chapter 42. Without waiting for Su Fengnian to ask, Su Xiao told him everything. Back then, the academy was magnificent and was known as the 100 schools of thought and 3,000 sages. Actually, the ones who were truly powerful were the 9 schools of thought: Taoism, Confucianism, Dharma, Soldier, Yin and Yang. Our dynasty focused on Dharma, while the other 8 countries had their own backing. It could be said that the real war was in the Shangyin Academy. For example, Shishu was old and unambitious, occupying a natural stronghold. At that time, the academy had already unified and believed that Shishu could continue to occupy a corner. However, they were crushed by my troops. For a time, the world was filled with resentment and the nickname of the human butcher was confirmed. Together with Han Diaoxi and the Jianghu hermit Huang Longshi, they were known as the 3 devils that everyone wanted to kill. My relationship with the academy has always been poor. Only that Mr. Ji Shang, whose chess skills are terrible, spoke up for me and said a lot of things that offend the world. At that time, Sir Wang had just won the debate on name and reality and was in the limelight. If there were no accidents, he could have become the next Grand Chancellor and planted a karma tree in the forest of virtue. What a pity. That's why I sent your second sister to Shangyin Academy. There were a few famous forbidden grounds and sacred grounds in the dynasty. Other than the imperial palace, there was also Mount Longhu, which had usurped the orthodox position of Wudong Taoism. There was also the northern Liang Mansion's Tide Hark Armory, the 2 Zen temples' relic pagoda, the Wu family's sword tomb, and lastly, the Shangyin Academy's Dao de Forest, which all the scholars in the world yearned for. This Dao de Forest symbolized 10 years of trees and 1,000 years of virtue. As for the 3 devils, the eunuch with the surname Han was called a cat. His reputation in the dynasty was only slightly worse than that of Su Xiao. However, the white-robed Huang Longshi was the most controversial. His hands were not stained with much blood, even less than some of the Jianghu heroes. But this person's mouth was really powerful. During the chaos of the 9 countries, more than half of it was started by him. He was the proudest disciple of Shangyin Academy and called himself Huang Sanjia. This was not him boasting. Huang Longshi was recognized as number 1 in the 19 Daos, number 1 in cursive script, and number 1 in Yin and Yang divination. He was renowned throughout the world. In the end, it was widely spread among scholars that the Shangyin Academy had almost erected a stone tablet that Huang Longshi could never set foot on in his lifetime. As for Su Fengnian's second sister, Su Weisheng, many scholars in the academy secretly said that she was the second Huang Longshi. One could see her elegant demeanor. Su Xiao said softly, "Mr. Wang came here today to ask for a favor, but I didn't agree." Su Fengnian said helplessly, "You really don't give Shangyin Academy any face." The hunchbacked and lame de Zhugua had his hands in his sleeves. He looked like an old farmer, but his words were extremely arrogant. "Those scholars have been scolding me from thousands of miles away. They've been scolding me until now, and I've already spat out several large vats of saliva. Your second sister slaps their faces in their house every day, loud and clear. In terms of Dao, they can't win against your second sister. It's even more so when it comes to chess. As for fighting, your second sister's sword can chop up those weak scholars. She can chop up hundreds of them in one breath and there won't be a wrinkle on her sword. Those fellows from Shangyin Academy are only good at scolding people. As for chopping people, they're pretty lame." Su Fengnian said with a headache, "Don't hit people in the face. You're good." Su Xiao smiled. "Your father hasn't studied much, so how can he understand so many great principles?" Su Fengnian said disdainfully, "That's pretentious." Su Xiao turned his head and glanced at the winter-embroidered knife in his son's hand. He smiled and said, "I'm really not pretentious. Using the knife to talk is the most effective." Su Fengnian said softly, "That's also how you talk to that person in the capital." Su Xiao always had no inhibitions when interacting with this son of his. He said straightforwardly, "Of course. 300,000 Bailiang cavalry. Even their farts will shake the heavens. Even if you don't want to, you can smell it." Su Fengnian was preparing to leave for the bottom of the lake to practice his knife skills. He couldn't possibly go along with, "The emperor will take turns to be the emperor and come to my house tomorrow," could he? Su Xiao asked, "Are you really going to keep practicing?" Su Fengnian was puzzled. "Or else." Su Xiao pulled his hand out and exhaled. He slowly kept him in suspense. "Then go to Wudong. There's someone waiting for you." Su Fengnian was surprised. You're not going to ask me to learn the Jade Pillar Heart Sutra from Hong Xixiang? That's too shameful. The scenery of the color glass world is not bad, but to ask me to practice my knife skills there, it's not fun. If he doesn't go down the mountain, I'll go up the mountain. How can it be like if the mountain doesn't come, I'll go up the mountain? To be honest, I'm not in the mood. I'd rather be scolded by that old man and have my face covered in spittle than live under someone else's roof on Wudong Mountain. De Zhuge smiled faintly. That little Taoist with the surname Hong doesn't have that kind of ability. The one you want to see is Wudong's chief, Wang Zhongluo. Su Fengnian was shocked. That old Taoist who hides to cultivate the Great Yellow Court Pass? Did he really split the Kanglin River with a finger of an immortal? That's too immortal. Inconceivable. Inconceivable. De Zhuge thought about it and said, I haven't seen it with my own eyes, but Wang Zhongluo almost single-handedly fought against Mount Longhu with 4 great heavenly masters. He shouldn't be someone who fishes for fame. Moreover, Li Yishan gave pointers in his early years. He did a general evaluation and rouge evaluation. He specifically mentioned this Taoist expert, saying that he has the potential to enter the profound understanding realm. You have to know that at that time, Wang Zhongluo was only a middle-aged Taoist with no obvious reputation. As for whether it's true or not, won't you find out when you go to Wudong Mountain? Su Fengnian was confused. Wang Zhongluo is going to teach me how to use the knife? That's impossible. Then he's going to teach me the fastest and most profound heart technique of Wudong? Su Xiao smiled. You'll know when you get there. Su Fengnian didn't refuse. Wang Zhongluo was one of the most famous experts in the world. It was always a good thing to be able to experience some of the Taoist's immortal aura. He hoped that it wouldn't be another otherworldly expert like Mr. Wang from Shangyin Academy. The most important thing was that Su Fengnian was hiding at the bottom of the lake to practice his knife. He remembered that there was a bottomless white elephant pond in Wudong. This pond was formed by a waterfall for hundreds and thousands of years. Su Fengnian wanted to go there to practice his knife. That year, Su Fengnian entered Wudong alone in the dusk. Under the black tortoise Dangxing Memorial Arch, there were only 2 Taoists who were very different in age. One of them was naturally the young martial granduncle Hong Xixiang. The other was an old man with white hair and a ruddy complexion. He was extremely tall and sturdy. He was not inferior to the old man at the bottom of the lake. This kind of physique was rare in Taoism. Seeing Su Fengnian holding the knife, the 2 Taoists didn't exchange pleasantries. They just silently led His Royal Highness up the mountain. Climbing a mountain was physical work. In the past, Su Fengnian needed to rest a few times halfway up the mountain. After practicing his knife for half a year, he had improved a lot. However, he still couldn't reach the top in one go. Every time Su Fengnian felt tired, the tall old Taoist would stop immediately. When he stopped, Hong Xixiang also stopped. Su Fengnian sneered in his heart. This way of doing things was more scheming than hundreds of ox-nosed old Taoists coming out together. The 3 of them stopped at the hanging coffin not far from the White Elephant Pond. There was only a small hut. It seemed to be His Royal Highness' residence. There was a bamboo fence around the hut. A table and chair were placed in front of the hut. After Su Fengnian and the old Taoist sat down, Hong Xixiang took the initiative to go into the hut and took a simple tea set. He squatted down and made tea. There was no need to guess the old Taoist's identity. He smiled and said, the world's swordsmanship is divided into standing sword, walking sword and sitting sword. The difficulty increases with each step, but the ultimate achievement is hard to say. Our Wu Dang sect has never recommended sitting swordsmanship, as it goes against the laws of heaven. However, standing swordsmanship and walking swordsmanship have some experience. I wonder if Your Highness wants to learn standing swordsmanship or walking swordsmanship. Su Fengnian said calmly, I want to practice my knife. Hong Xixiang, who was making tea, rolled his eyes. The old Taoist said amiably, swordsmanship and knife techniques, different paths lead to the same goal. They all pursue the path of 1 man against 100. Like that Dong Tai, he only held a peach blossom. It can be called a sword or a knife. Su Fengnian did not want to waste time. It was really boring to discuss Tao with the old Taoist. So he asked, what's the difference between standing sword and walking sword? The old Taoist chuckled and said, standing sword, simply speaking, is when the sword moves and stops more often. The sword momentum is more swift and violent, like the rumbling of winter thunder. Walking sword is heavy and continuous, like the majestic summer rain, like splashing ink. If His Royal Highness likes standing sword, there are a few sets of famous sword techniques on the mountain. Together with Wudong's unique Heart Sutra, the spirit-plucking incantation, they are mutually beneficial. If he prefers walking sword, there is no harm. Jade Pearl Peak has a book called Green Water Pavilion Sword Practice Record for the 60 Years. Its words are exquisite and profound, and it contains the essence of swordsmanship. Su Fengnian thought for a moment and asked, "What does Headmaster Wang mean by sitting sword?" The old Taoist said awkwardly, "This sitting technique is passed down in the Wu family sword tomb. Outsiders do not know." The young martial granduncle gave each of them a cup of tea. The tea was wild tea from the mountain, and the water was spring water. Su Fengnian drank a mouthful and said with a smile, "I forgot to congratulate Headmaster Wang for coming out of seclusion." The old Taoist smiled and nodded. Hong Shixiang sighed quietly. Su Fengnian hesitated for a moment and asked softly, "Did Headmaster Wang really split open that Songlan River with one finger?" The old Taoist shook his head and said, "No." Su Fengnian felt relieved. Since the old Taoist's ranking is lower than Wang Xianji's, then the weakness of his skills is a good thing. Hong Shixiang muttered, "It was 2 fingers."